Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Bad. I just following up to see if you guys had any luck with those hinges I sent you a picture of the other day.
Oh, I don't recall anything about it. Did you send an email?
Yeah, and I spoke with somebody over there. He said he was going to talk to you about it. Let's see if there's an account number or anything on here. You sent me an email on Thursday asking me if it was on the... Are you surface mounting the leaf onto the face of the door or the face of the frame?
So what is your email address?
At feandc.com.
Okay. I did not see your response, and I know why I didn't see your response. Okay. So to the face of the frame. So what you have there is what's called a half mortise hinge, and let's take a look. So a half mortise hinge. Yeah, super simple. What's the length or the height of that hinge?
The height. It's 4.5.
Okay. What's the thickness of the leaf? Is it 134 thousandths or thereabout? Just heavy on 1/8 of an inch?
Yep.
This is easy stuff.
The biggest issue I'm having, the biggest problem I'm having is that the last two I've received have had like a 30-degree angle instead of a 45 on that one side. Because one side's probably, I don't have my tape measure handy, but one side's probably 2 inch, and the other side's probably 1.5 inches in length. Width. See what I'm saying? And the section that mounts to the frame, like you were talking about, has a 45. That's about, just a hair over 1/4 inch in length from the hinge. Right off the hinge, it goes out about 1/4 inch, then it 45's over. The rest of the inch and, that's less than 2 inches.
And I imagine that is placing your holes to reuse in the frame at a bad location.
Yeah, this is an existing federal building that's like from the 40s.
Yeah, and that hinge is probably from the 40s. So I do understand what you're saying. I do not have any that will have that 90-degree bend as it gets to the face of the frame.
90, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, you'd need to, possibly plug weld and grind and drill and tap. Or of course, just use continuous hinges.
Continuous hinges. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
A half mortise continuing, would it still be a half mortise?
Possibly. You would need to know the and possibly not. A hinge that would go, you wouldn't mortise a continuous hinge to the edge of the door like you would a standard templated hinge like this. So you probably would end up needing to use a full surface hinge. What's the frame made of? Is it just steel or is it channel iron?
It's steel.
Okay. So that's going to require a couple of dozen holes drilled and tapped in the face of the frame. What is it, filled with grout?
Oh, most likely.
Yeah, most definitely. So that's going to be an epic hassle. Why are you replacing this hinge? Has it just failed after decades of service? It just doesn't, I can see that the margin seems sloppy on the barrel.
No, they're perfectly in good, great, wonderful shape. But the client is the federal government, and they want stainless steel instead of brass. And they want the security fasteners, because this is I can't really say what's going in the room, but it's a high security room pretty soon here.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand that. Say no more. We deal with a lot of people like that. Bye, Terry. Every time Lockheed Martin calls, I ask them if they're working on anything interesting these days.
Right.
Always. Always.
Always, yep.
So it's I will put out feelers to my people. The Bomber, McKinney, Stanley, Hager, and I'll ask them if they can make it with a 90-degree on that.
I gotcha. So they still make these type of hinges or similar hinges.
Yeah, the half mortise. So the term is you are mortising one leaf to the door. It goes like a normal hinge would go, a templated hinge. But then you are surface mounting the other leaf to the face of the frame. So a half mortise hinge is quite garden variety. Putting it in a stainless base material, absolutely no problem. Positioning the leaf on the frame to reuse the existing holes is where this is going to break down most likely.
The holes to me look like a standard hinge. They've got that kind of, on one side it's got kind of a smile pattern. You know what I mean?
Door,
and then the other, and then the other side is just a straight run. And they're pretty similar. I matched it up to other hinges at like Home Depot, and the bolt pattern is just like any other hinge that's close to this. I didn't find anything really close, but as far as the sizes and stuff, but I understand where you're coming from, though.
So if the location of the holes on the frame leaf were in a good location for you, would it matter if it was 45 or 90 degree?
I don't care. I was wrong with the 45. I apologize. It would. 90. Hold on. I'm trying to think here. That's it's like a piece of angle iron, whatever you want to call that. Is that a 90 or 45?
Oh, 90. Yeah, no, you're right. You're good on that.
It's a 90. You're correct. Yep.
Well, you're correct. You said it first. But if the replacement hinge had a 45 bend on that leaf, but the holes lined up, at the end of the day, would it matter?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm not a door guy. What do you think? I can go. There's some here in town that I ordered that are possibly still there. I just didn't think it would work because of that angle.
I personally, I'm personally
at least try.
I'm not finding any reason that it would run afoul of the application. I have replied with a template to a hinge that you could, with a caliper, determine where the replacement hinge would put you in terms of those hole locations. Gotcha.
Yeah, I got that.
So, having said that, it's very likely they're going to be in a different location. But at the same time, the fact that you have a template pattern on the door leaf, that's been a standard for several decades. So it could be.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Okay. So it could be. So if you've got that hinge and that template, if you have a caliper, I would definitely be checking that out to see if it'll line up, because the only, what you don't want to do is have to drill and tap new holes. You want to go right into the same place.
Yeah, that would be preferable. We had to put a new one of those panic bars on, which means a different style of receiver for the whatever. I'm not a door guy, and I'm having a brain fart right now. But anyway, the latch. And had to re-tap and stuff that, and it took a little bit of time because that stuff is so thick and just hardened steel. But yeah, I think that it's definitely worth a shot. So I'm going to print this out and check that out, and I will get back to you. I appreciate your time and effort.
Yeah, I didn't get your email because I filter emails that I'm BCC'd or someone else in the company's BCC'd on or CC'd on. I would otherwise see a million emails, which is why I've dropped Corey out of the conversation. I will let him know that I'm taking care of it from here so that when you reply to that, I will see it. It was filtered because it was me and Corey. I let Corey.
Gotcha.
What Corey should have done was he should have reached out to me, and he could have. I've got a million unread emails just from this morning alone. So.
Yeah. Understandable. All right, buddy. Well, if you hear anything from those guys, the Bomber and Stanley or anybody, let me know. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go try to snatch up on one of those sets that came in Friday at our door supplier here and see if it'll actually work. And go from there, or use the caliper method, I mean.
Definitely caliper. You don't need the new hinge. You need your hinge and the template that I sent you. What did your current door supplier say about the availability of the hinge you're trying to replace?
Well, he had ordered good ones, but like I said, they didn't have quite a 90. They only had probably a 45.
Right on.
But it was Thursday afternoon, which is our Friday, and I went, this has been 2 months, and this is what I get, and I left. But the guy I normally talked to wasn't there. He was gone as well, so I was talking to one of the shop guys, and he didn't think it would work, but like I said, with the calipers, I should be able to figure it out with your template and the calipers and see if it's going to work or not.
How many doors do you have to do?
Just one. This is the last little piece of the pie.
Yeah, so I mean, worst case scenario, it's 9 holes.
Yeah. Or custom fab some hinges, I guess.
Well, so let's discuss that real quick. I have seen how hinges are manufactured. I have seen how hollow metal doors are manufactured. I have seen how steel is embossed with 300-ton presses. I can tell you that making hinges is by far the most dirty, complicated endeavor that a company can do. I am saying now that I doubt they're going to be able to put a 90 on that hinge leaf, but I am going to ask. I can tap the shoulder of the right people in a couple of departments, heads of technical support, design, engineering kind of people at Hager and Bomber, but I'm expecting they're going to say no way. And if they do, they're going to say, great. The last time I quoted a custom hinge, it was about $300 a hinge. And there was like a 50 minimum piece buy-in because they literally have to reset machinery to do this. So I'm expecting it's going to be a no-go even if they can do it. Okay. Yes, sir.
All right. Yep. The other option I have is just tell the client, hey, I apologize, but these aren't available. I can put you some security screws in there to make you happy so they can't, just unscrew the outside, but that's the best I can do for you at this point in time.
Yeah, we can definitely help you with, pin torques or whatever you want to do there. If the base material has to change to stainless, I would ask why it needs to change because it's already non-ferrous. And at the end of the day, you're dealing with a need for a time machine, and that's the problem. Exactly.
So, okay. All right, Richard, how's things going out there? You guys surviving this virus?
So I'm in Naples, Florida, and the population of this place is like maybe 30,000 people off season, and I don't come into contact. I don't commiserate with anyone. I, get up at 6, drive to work, leave work at 6, drive home. And so I don't have an opportunity to bump into people that I don't already work with, like my 2 children. And then my wife, she's at work all day, and she's relatively isolated where she works. So she doesn't come in contact. So hopefully all these actions are safe than sorry, and that in a week it's like, okay, all that Clorox and Purell that everyone ordered, now they got a funny thing about that though is the toilet paper people, they've said we're not increasing production, and their logic is a human is only going to use so much a day. So which, unless you start blowing your nose with it, then you're so. They don't want to have a glut on the market in so many weeks where, so they're like, listen, unless you're doubling the amount of food you're eating, it's
exactly. I totally got you there.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting, and I thought exactly that's what I would do. There's no logical need for more toilet paper.
Exactly. Well, even the rest of the stuff, it's like, hey, we're not going to quit restocking the stores. I think they finally came out and said that here the other day that, calm down, the stores are going to get restocked. There's no point in hoarding stuff at this point.
It's, Y2K was, I got Y2K. I could, playing with computers as a kid, I could see it. Like being okay potentially, but how many swine flu, H1N1, Zika, this happens every 5 years, right?
Yeah, so, pretty much.
And all the other stuff. So, but I'm just an ignorant Yankee from Chicago originally, so what do I know? If it's not if it's not hot dog, I get lost. So yeah.
Hey, they closed the bars and restaurants here today, so it's getting rough on this end. We still got to work, but you can't go get a beer after work.
Yeah, that's getting loose. That's just not, if during a time of crisis in air quotes, a place to get a beer should definitely be open.
Yeah, no kidding. At least a drive-up window, Hey.
Thank you.
All right, Richard, I got to bail. So, hey, have a good one. I appreciate it.
You too, sir. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program.